The human battlefleet spread through the empty void of space like a swarm of determined hunters. From the command deck of the flagship Intrepid, Admiral Kale watched each movement with precision. The Zyraxi fleet loomed ahead, massive warships, bristling with weapons, their confidence as thick as the steel of their hulls. They believed humans would hesitate, negotiate, or run, but they had no idea what was coming. Kale activated the fleet's communication network, a web of secure channels, connecting every vessel. "All units," he said calmly, "remember, speed, stealth, and unpredictability. Strike where they expect nothing. Move as one mind. Let them regret underestimating humanity." Commander Lyra, standing beside him, smiled. "They won't know what hit them." Across the fleet, ships shifted into formation, each assigned to a role. The larger cruisers took the central line, ready to absorb fire if needed. Smaller, faster vessels darted to the sides, ready for flanking attacks. Stealth drones activated, invisible even to the Zyraxi sensors, prepared to create false readings that would mislead enemy commanders. Kale's fingers hovered over the control panel. "Initiate the first decoy maneuver," he commanded. Instantly, a small squadron of human fighters veered toward the Zyraxi fleet in an apparent retreat. Sensors aboard Zyraxi ships detected the approaching vessels and, seeing them as weak and isolated, opened fire. Missiles streaked through space, but each one hit empty coordinates or harmless decoys. The Zyraxi commanders' faces twisted in confusion. "Targeting error?" one demanded. "Impossible." Kale leaned slightly forward. "Impressing them is easy," he said quietly. "Confusing them takes skill." As the decoy squadron retreated, the main human cruisers moved silently into hidden positions. A series of hyperspace jumps placed the Intrepid and its supporting vessels behind the Zyraxi fleet, invisible until the final moment. From that vantage point, human ships could strike the enemy from directions they had not even anticipated. Suddenly, Lyra's voice came over the comms. "Admiral, they're attempting a flank. They've split their forces." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Perfect. Let them divide. We will strike each group in turn. Prepare the adaptive targeting protocols. Fire only when I give the signal." Across the void, small bursts of light marked human ships appearing unexpectedly around the Zyraxi flanks. From their perspective, the humans seemed to appear everywhere at once, attacking unpredictably and retreating just as quickly. The first exchange of fire erupted. Plasma beams streaked through space, illuminating the darkness. The Zyraxi fired in volleys, confident in their numbers and their shields. Yet human ships moved in ways their enemy could not anticipate. When a beam approached, a vessel would twist and glide at impossible angles, dodging effortlessly. Kale watched as one of the smaller human attack vessels, no larger than a Zyraxi scout, darted through a gap in the enemy formation. With precise targeting, it disabled the propulsion system of a massive Zyraxi cruiser. The larger ship drifted, immobile and vulnerable. The Zyraxi commander's face turned pale. How did a single vessel do that?" Kale smiled faintly. "Innovation, speed, and courage," he said. "That's what humanity has in abundance." Meanwhile, human drones spread through the battlefield, creating false images of entire squadrons. Sensors aboard Zyraxi ships became unreliable and some commanders began firing at illusions, wasting time and energy. The humans had trained for this, turning their enemy's strength into weakness. Lyra's voice rang out, calm but excited. "Admiral, they're trying to regroup. They're attempting a concentrated strike against our decoy squadron." Kale nodded. "Let them. That is exactly what we want." He tapped a series of controls. A hidden squadron jumped into position behind the Zyraxi forces. When the enemy focused on the decoys, the humans struck from angles the Zyraxi had not even considered. Explosions lit up the darkness as the human fleet demonstrated the power of strategy over size. One by one, Zyraxi ships were forced to retreat or risk being isolated. The larger vessels tried to compensate, but human ships moved faster, coordinated more effectively, and used the environment of space to their advantage. Asteroid fields, gas clouds, and debris became shields and traps. and the Zeraxi found themselves cornered at every turn. On the Intrepid, Kale's voice was calm, even as the battle intensified. Prepare the Ghost Star maneuver. Every unit, ready for hyperspace jumps in sequence. We will confuse them completely and hit their supply lines. Timing is everything. Lyra's eyes widened. You really think we can pull it off? Kale gave her a confident nod. They are predictable. We are not. That is all we need. The maneuver began. Human ships blinked in and out of hyperspace, appearing in positions that seemed impossible. Zeraxi sensors were overwhelmed. One moment, a cruiser would seem to be on the left flank, and the next, it would appear behind the enemy. Chaos spread among Zeraxi ranks as they struggled to respond to attacks from multiple, unexpected directions. A Zeraxi general shouted orders, but his voice was drowned in the chaos of explosions, movement, and false signals. Their confidence faltered. For the first time, the Zeraxi realized that humans were not to be underestimated. Kale observed calmly, every move precise. Target the supply lines, he ordered. Cut them off from their reinforcements. Let them see that size is meaningless without coordination and foresight. Human attack vessels raced toward the Zeraxi supply ships. The smaller ships, nimble and fast, evaded defensive fire and disabled critical engines. Supply convoys were forced to halt, leaving Zeraxi frontline ships without fuel and ammunition. Panic began to ripple through the Zeraxi fleet. Admiral, Lyra said, voice steady but tense. They're trying to escape in small groups. Kale leaned over the console, studying the readings. Let them go. Isolate them individually. We do not need to destroy them all at once. They will regroup if they can. But the lesson will be clear. Humans do not yield. The human fleet moved with a precision that even the Zeraxi could not match. Smaller vessels ambushed fleeing ships, while stealth units infiltrated from behind. Every movement was calculated, every decision executed with speed and accuracy. In the midst of the chaos, Kale allowed himself a brief reflection. Humanity had faced threats like this before, on Earth, in history. The story was always the same. Humans adapted, humans persevered, humans overcame. And now, in the vastness of space, they were doing it again. One by one, Zeraxi ships were forced to retreat. The battle was far from over, but the outcome was becoming clear. The humans were not simply defending, they were teaching a lesson that would echo across the galaxy. Never underestimate humanity. Kale's gaze swept across the fleet. Maintain formation. Keep the pressure. They will make mistakes, and we will be ready. Remember, their arrogance is our greatest weapon. Lyra nodded, eyes bright. They won't see it coming until it's too late. As the human fleet pressed forward, the Zeraxi realized that their assumptions had been wrong. They had expected fear, hesitation, or negotiation. Instead, they faced courage, strategy, and unyielding determination. Every tactic the Zeraxi attempted was countered by ingenuity. Every maneuver they thought would succeed was anticipated by humans who thought differently, acted boldly, and refused to give ground. The battle raged for hours, though the humans felt it like moments. Every strike, every movement, and every decision demonstrated the power of human creativity and coordination. Kale watched from the command deck, calm, confident, and aware that the first impression of humanity in the galaxy would be unforgettable. Finally, a message came from one of the Zeraxi admirals. We did not expect this. They are unpredictable. We must withdraw. Kyle leaned back, letting the words sink in. Good, he said softly. Let them learn humility. The Zeraxi fleet retreated, leaving the human forces in control of the battlefield. The victory was not only in power but in the lesson delivered. Humans were not to be underestimated. Humans were capable of incredible strategy, and humans had courage beyond measure. Kyle turned to Lyra. Send the message. The galaxy must know. Humanity has arrived, and we do not negotiate under threat. Lyra smiled. Consider it done, Admiral. As the human fleet regrouped and prepared for whatever came next, Kale allowed himself a rare moment of pride. The battle had been won, not through brute force alone, but through intelligence, creativity, and unwavering courage. And this was only the beginning. Humanity had made its mark, and the galaxy would never look at them the same way again. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and human ships moved through them like a promise, an unstoppable force driven by ingenuity, unity, and determination. The finest battle fleet in the galaxy had proven its worth, and the message was clear. Do not underestimate humanity. The battle had ended, but the war was far from over. The Ziraxi fleet had retreated, but their arrogance had not diminished. From their perspective, humans had been lucky, or perhaps their tactics had only temporarily slowed the inevitable. They had not yet seen the full extent of human ingenuity. Admiral Kale, aboard the Intrepid, studied the star maps with intense focus. The sensors still blinked with traces of the retreating Ziraxi forces. He tapped the console, bringing up formations, and predicted movements. They will regroup, he said calmly. But we know where they will go, and we know how they think. Commander Lyra leaned over his shoulder. You really think we can get behind their lines? Their defenses are strong. Kale's lips curved into a small, confident smile. They are strong, yes, but predictable. That is their weakness. Humans are anything but predictable. Prepare for the Ghost Star maneuver. Across the galaxy, the Ziraxi leaders gathered once more. Their eyes flicked across holographic maps of their retreating forces. Humans are clever, one said reluctantly, but cleverness does not equal victory. We will rebuild, and next time, we will crush them. Another voice, hesitant, replied, Perhaps, but they do not fight like other species. Their tactics, they are different. We must be cautious. The first voice waved the warning aside. Caution is for the weak. We are the strongest. Humans will learn quickly who commands the stars. Meanwhile, the human fleet moved quietly. Using hyperspace jumps, small squadrons slipped behind enemy lines. Sensors remained offline to avoid detection, and stealth drones masked their approach. The Ziraxi, confident in their retreat, had left gaps in their patrols, gaps that humans were about to exploit. Kyle watched the movements unfold. Split into 3 groups, he ordered. One takes the left flank, one the right, and one shadows their main fleet. Keep communication minimal. Move silently. Surprise is our ally. Lyra nodded, issuing the orders with precision. Within minutes, human ships were scattered across Ziraxi space, each unit positioned for maximum effect. The first target was a supply station deep within Ziraxi territory. It floated in orbit around a cold, dark planet, heavily defended but predictable. Human drones slipped past the outer sensors, creating false readings of empty space. Kale allowed a small human squadron to approach as if by accident, giving the impression of vulnerability. Open the decoy channel, Kale instructed. Make them think we are scattered. Draw them in. The Ziraxi patrol ships responded exactly as predicted, moving toward the apparent weakness. It was a simple trap, but it required patience and precision. As the Ziraxi closed in, hidden human vessels activated from unexpected angles, disabling key systems and creating confusion. Within minutes, the supply station was neutralized without a single human ship being lost. Kale allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. They cannot predict this, he said quietly. This is what makes humans dangerous. We think differently, we act boldly, and we never surrender. Next, the human fleet targeted a communication relay critical to Ziraxi coordination. A group of nimble fighters darted through asteroid fields, using natural cover to avoid detection. Stealth drones created false signals, suggesting multiple approaches from other directions. The Ziraxi, frustrated and panicked, misfired repeatedly, disabling some of their own systems in the process. From the command deck, Kale watched every move. They are losing cohesion, he said. Do not give them a chance to regroup. Continue with precision. Strike where they do not expect it. Lyra's eyes sparkled. It's working. They don't know where we are. They don't know who. We'll strike next. Kale nodded. Exactly. Intelligence and daring. This is how humans win. As the night of the battle passed, Kale implemented the most daring part of the plan. He took a small squadron through a hyperspace jump so close to the Xyraxi fleet that even the most advanced sensors barely registered them. Within minutes, human ships appeared behind the main Xyraxi formation, invisible until it was too late. Chaos erupted in the enemy ranks. Xyraxi ships fired at ghost signals, trying to respond to attacks from every direction. Their confidence, once so unshakable, faltered. Officers shouted orders, but human vessels moved faster than they could coordinate. 1. Xyraxi warship, massive and heavily armored, attempted to turn and face the sudden threat from the rear. A nimble human fighter darted in and out, using the ship's own blind spots to disable its propulsion systems. The larger ship drifted helplessly, and the crew's panic spread to other vessels. Kyle allowed the moment to pass, giving the Xyraxi time to realize their vulnerability. Do not overextend, he warned his squadron. Precision is more valuable than destruction. Make them fear strategy, not just firepower. Another squadron of human ships targeted the Xyraxi command vessel. Using rapid maneuvers, adaptive targeting and coordination across multiple ships, they disabled shields and critical communications without causing unnecessary damage. The Xyraxi commanders realized that humans did not seek slaughter. They sought control and clarity. This is not what we expected, a Xyraxi admiral said, watching his fleet crumble in disarray. They are clever. They are different. Kyle's voice came over the comms. They underestimated us, he said. They thought negotiation would work. They were wrong. Remember this lesson. Never underestimate humanity. Even as they advanced, the human fleet remained disciplined. No ship acted recklessly. Every move was deliberate, every strike calculated. The Xyraxi could not predict their next action because humans did not follow patterns. They adapted, they innovated, and they took bold risks when necessary. Lyra leaned over Kale's console. Admiral, their supply lines are completely exposed now. If we cut them off, they'll be forced to retreat further. Kale's eyes gleamed. Good. Prepare for the final phase. We will leave them no choice. The Ghost Star maneuver is almost complete. Position every unit. Wait for the moment of maximum impact. In the heart of Xyraxi territory, confusion reigned. Communication signals were scrambled, supply lines disrupted, and ships isolated. Officers shouted frantic orders, but the humans were always one step ahead. Every movement, every attack, and every retreat had been anticipated. Kale watched as a single human fighter approached a Xyraxi reconnaissance ship. With a combination of precision targeting and rapid maneuvers, it disabled the ship without firing a full volley. The enemy had no chance to retaliate. This is how humans fight, Kyle said softly. With intelligence, daring, and unity, strength is more than numbers. Strength is courage, creativity, and the will to act when others hesitate. The Xyraxi leaders, realizing the full scope of human strategy, gathered in panic. We underestimated them, one admitted. We believed they would bow, that they would negotiate, that they would flee. They do none of these things. They are extraordinary. Kale allowed the human fleet to continue its maneuvers. Every step, every strike reinforced the lesson that humans were not merely another species in the galaxy. They were a force unlike any other. Hours passed as the human fleet infiltrated deeper, disrupting enemy operations and sowing confusion. Yet Kale maintained discipline. No unnecessary destruction, no careless risks. Every move was precise, ensuring maximum effect with minimal losses. Finally, the Ghost Star maneuver reached its climax. Human ships simultaneously emerged at multiple points behind and alongside the Xyraxi main fleet. The enemy's formations broke apart completely. Supply lines were cut, communication was disrupted, and the Xyraxi had no option but to retreat in disarray. Kale observed the retreat calmly. They will regroup, he said, but now they know humanity is unlike any other species they have faced. This is only the beginning. Lyra turned to him, her expression serious. Do you think they will strike back soon? Kale nodded. They will. They always do. But we will be ready. Every move we make now is a message. Humans are clever, humans are brave, and humans do not submit to threats. The fleet regrouped in a safe orbit, systems running smoothly and ships ready for the next phase. Even in the quiet after the battle, there was a sense of pride and accomplishment. Humans had achieved more than victory. They had demonstrated to the galaxy why they were to be respected. Kyle gazed out at the stars, reflecting on the human spirit. From the earliest days on Earth to this moment in the stars, humanity had survived through intelligence, courage, and the refusal to give up. That spirit had carried them into space, into the heart of a hostile galaxy, and it would continue to carry them forward. This is what makes humans remarkable, Kale said quietly to Lyra. We do not merely fight. We think. We adapt. We surprise. And we endure. Lyra nodded. The Zyraxi will never forget this. Kyle's eyes gleamed with determination. Nor will the rest of the galaxy. And this is only the start of our story. The Intrepid and its fleet moved silently through the stars, ready for the next encounter. They had proven their strength, their strategy, and their courage. Humanity had shown the galaxy that underestimating them was the gravest mistake any species could make. And somewhere in the depths of Zyraxi space, the enemy knew it too. The Zyraxi fleet, though battered and disorganized, had not given up. They regrouped around a massive stronghold, a fortress of orbital stations and heavily armed ships. From there, they believed they could reclaim control and drive the humans back. Confidence still lingered among some commanders, but the cracks were evident. Their arrogance had been shaken by the previous encounters, and the humans had shown them something they had never expected. Discipline, courage, and unpredictable genius. Admiral Kale stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, observing the enemy positions. Every display, every movement had been calculated. He allowed no emotion to cloud his judgment. This was not the time for recklessness. This was the time for precision. Commander Lyra, Kyle said, his voice calm but firm. The Zyraxi believe they can defend this stronghold. But they are predictable. They overestimate their defenses and underestimate our ability to adapt. Prepare the fleet for the final engagement. Lyra nodded, her fingers moving over the controls. All units ready, Admiral. Every ship is in position, waiting for your command. The human fleet moved into their formation, a combination of stealth, speed, and firepower designed to strike decisively. The smaller vessels were ready to flank, while the larger cruisers provided both protection and heavy support. Every unit had a role, and every member of the crew knew it. Kyle tapped the console. Begin the approach. Stealth units first. Maintain communication only through secure channels. Let the Zyraxi make the first mistake. Through the viewports, the Zyraxi stronghold loomed. Towering orbital stations bristled with weapons, and massive warships patrolled the perimeter. Yet, Kale's sensors revealed weaknesses they had failed to anticipate. Blind zones in patrol patterns, predictable firing sequences, and gaps in shield coverage. Lyra's voice came over the comms. Admiral, they've detected our fleet. Weapon systems activating. Kale remained calm. Let them. That is exactly what we want. Now we strike with precision. Focus on their shields and communication arrays first. Disable, then isolate. The first strike came from the stealth units, moving silently through the orbital debris. They targeted the Zyraxi relay stations that controlled weapon coordination. Within moments, critical systems were disabled, causing confusion among enemy ranks. The Zyraxi officers shouted frantic orders, but human ships were already in position. Smaller fighters darted between larger warships, striking weak points and evading counterfire with skillful maneuvers. Each attack was calculated to cause maximum disruption with minimal risk. Kale's eyes scanned the display. Focus on the command ship next. It controls the entire defense grid. Once it is neutralized, the stronghold will be vulnerable. Lyra pressed a series of commands. Targeting arrays ready. Firing sequence set. The human fleet launched a coordinated attack. Plasma beams and precise torpedoes disabled shields, engines, and communications. The Zyraxi command vessel, once the pride of their fleet, drifted helplessly. Panic spread quickly, officers unable to coordinate their forces effectively. "This is it," Kale said softly. "The turning point. We do not just fight, we control the battlefield." Smaller human vessels flanked the remaining Ziraxi warships. Using agility and speed, they struck at engines, forcing enemy ships to drift into the path of human fire. Supply vessels were cut off, leaving the Ziraxi fleet isolated. Their confidence, once so unwavering, faltered completely. On the Intrepid, Kale allowed himself a brief reflection. Humanity had always succeeded through courage, creativity, and unity. This was no different. Even facing a technologically superior enemy, humans had outmaneuvered, outthought, and outlasted them. Lyra's voice broke the momentary silence. "Admiral, they're attempting a breakout. Some of their warships are trying to escape." Kyle's eyes narrowed. "Let them try. Split our fleet into 2 squadrons. Intercept and isolate them individually. The lesson must be clear. Humans do not back down. Humans do not yield." The smaller Ziraxi ships darted through space, but the humans anticipated every move. Faster, more agile vessels intercepted them, forcing them into traps where human firepower could disable engines without destruction. Every escape attempt was thwarted. Meanwhile, Kale directed the main strike against the stronghold itself. Heavy cruisers opened fire on key stations, carefully avoiding unnecessary damage while disabling weapons and shields. The Ziraxi realized that humans were not recklessly attacking, they were precise, efficient, and intelligent. "This is not an invasion," Kyle said quietly, observing the chaos. "This is a demonstration of strategy, skill, and determination." The Ziraxi leaders, witnessing their fleet crumble and their stronghold compromised, began to understand the depth of human ingenuity. "They are different," one admitted reluctantly. "Not just brave, intelligent, coordinated, unstoppable in ways we did not expect." Kale's voice came over the comms, clear and commanding. "Ziraxi forces, your options are few. Withdraw, or face complete isolation. Humanity does not seek unnecessary destruction, but we will act decisively to defend ourselves." For a moment, silence followed. Then, a hesitant voice from the Ziraxi command replied, We will withdraw, for now, but this is not over." Kale allowed the humans to maintain a strong presence while Ziraxi forces retreated. The message had been delivered. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their courage, intelligence, and strategic skill had turned the tide, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. Lyra exhaled, a small smile on her face. "They won't forget this, will they?" Kyle shook his head. "No, and that is exactly what we want. Respect, caution, and the understanding that humans do not negotiate under threat. We act, we prevail, and we do so without needless destruction." The human fleet regrouped, maintaining vigilance as the Ziraxi withdrew to safer regions. Kale allowed himself a moment of pride, but he knew the battle was not truly over. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had made its mark. Through the quiet of space, the stars stretched endlessly ahead. Ships moved in formation, systems operational, and crews prepared for whatever came next. Humanity had demonstrated its strength, strategy, and courage. And now the galaxy would remember that the humans did not yield to threats. They confronted them with intelligence, unity, and determination. Kale's eyes scanned the stars. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We have shown them what humans are capable of. The next time the galaxy will know the full extent of our resolve." Lyra looked at him, determination in her eyes. "And they will remember that they underestimated us once. Never again." Kale nodded, a rare, confident smile crossing his face. "Never again. Humanity has arrived, and we will continue to prove why we are a force unlike any other." The Intrepid led the fleet forward, moving steadily through the stars. Every crew member felt a quiet pride. They had faced a formidable enemy, challenged expectations, and emerged victorious. The lesson was clear. Humans did not fight like other species. Humans did not yield. Humans thought, acted, and persevered in ways that left even the most confident adversaries uncertain. The Zyraxi would retreat for now, but Kale knew they would return. And when they did, humanity would be ready. This was the turning point, not just of a battle, but of a war that would show the galaxy why humans were to be respected, feared, and admired. Every action, every maneuver, and every victory demonstrated that humans could achieve the impossible. From the earliest days of Earth to the vastness of space, humanity's ingenuity, courage, and unity had carried them forward. And in this moment, the galaxy witnessed the undeniable truth. Humans were extraordinary. As the fleet moved through the stars, the first clear message had been sent. Humanity did not negotiate under threat. Humanity acted. Humanity prevailed. And the Zyraxi, and every other species watching, would never forget it. The galaxy had begun to take notice. Across the stars, whispers spread from one system to the next. Humans were not to be underestimated. The Zyraxi retreat had been complete, their forces scattered, and their pride shaken. Yet the human fleet remained vigilant, knowing that the enemy might regroup. Admiral Kale stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, watching the stars. The fleet had regrouped, systems checked, crews rested, but the sense of purpose remained. Humanity had made its mark, not through sheer numbers but through intelligence, courage, and unity. "Admiral," Commander Lyra said, her eyes scanning the tactical display. "All units report ready. Supplies replenished. No damages that cannot be repaired quickly. The fleet is prepared for anything." Kale nodded. "Good. We have shown them what humans are capable of. Now we must ensure that message is heard across the galaxy. Send a transmission to the Council. Let every species know humans do not negotiate under threat. We act. We prevail." The transmission went out in secure channels, reaching countless star systems. Images of the human fleet, reports of their precision strikes, and accounts of the Zyraxi retreat spread quickly. Across the galaxy, many species paused in astonishment. The newcomers, small in numbers and underestimated, had demonstrated unmatched ingenuity and bravery. Meanwhile, Zyraxi leaders held emergency meetings on their homeworld. Their pride had been wounded, their fleet humiliated. "How is this possible?" a Zyraxi admiral demanded. "They are smaller, newer, less experienced. Yet they outmaneuvered us, struck precisely, and forced our retreat. What are these humans?" Another, voice quieter but more thoughtful, answered, "They are not reckless, they are intelligent, adaptable, and bold. We underestimated them. That was our mistake." Kyle did not wait for the Zyraxi to recover. The humans had proven strength, but they would also prove fairness. "We will not pursue them unnecessarily," he said to Lyra. "Our goal is not destruction. Our goal is respect. We do not strike without purpose, but we defend with certainty. Let this be known." The fleet continued its patrols, securing key sectors and monitoring for any further Zyraxi movements. Along the way, human crews assisted other species whose trade and travel had been disrupted by Zyraxi aggression. Each act, each mission, reinforced the growing legend of humanity: capable, reliable, and strategic. In one system, human engineers repaired an alien outpost damaged in earlier skirmishes. The aliens, initially skeptical of human intentions, watched in amazement as humans worked efficiently, using tools and knowledge that others lacked. Children of that species gathered to see the humans at work, whispering in awe about their bravery and skill. Kale reflected on this. Humanity's strength was not only in battle, but in their willingness to protect, adapt, and innovate. The galaxy respected power, but true admiration came from courage, intelligence, and fairness. The next council meeting brought a new reality. Leaders from multiple species attended, not to challenge humanity, but to observe and learn. Humans had earned a seat at the table that could not be ignored. Chancellor Arian addressed the council, voice clear and unwavering. Humanity has entered the galaxy not to dominate, but to show that courage, creativity, and unity are powerful. We do not negotiate under threat because we believe in fairness, intelligence, and respect for life. Let our actions speak for themselves. Across the room, alien representatives nodded. Some whispered among themselves, acknowledging that humanity had changed the balance of power. The Ziraxi, once arrogant and confident, now spoke quietly, their pride tempered by the undeniable display of human skill. Kale stood beside Arian, surveying the council chamber. Every member present understood one truth: humans were extraordinary. They were capable of thinking differently, acting boldly, and achieving the impossible. Their strength lay not only in technology but in courage, creativity, and determination. The story of the battle spread beyond the council. News of the human fleet reached remote systems, inspiring countless beings. Ships trained, civilizations adapted, and the very idea of humanity became synonymous with cleverness and bravery. Back on the Intrepid, Kale and Lyra reviewed reports from the fleet. Each ship, each crew had performed flawlessly. Humans had executed maneuvers no other species could anticipate, and they had done so without unnecessary loss. The lessons learned would guide future generations, and the legend of the finest battlefleet in the galaxy was only beginning. Lyra looked at Kale. "Do you think they will ever try again?" Kale's eyes were steady, resolute. "Perhaps. But they will remember the price of underestimating humanity. And when they do, they will think twice. Courage, intelligence, and unity. Those are our weapons. That is what makes humans unstoppable." The fleet moved on, continuing patrols, ensuring security, and maintaining presence across human space and beyond. Every engagement, every mission, reinforced the image of humans as a force to be respected. The galaxy was changing, and humans were at the center of that change. In distant Ziraxi systems, commanders continued to study human tactics. They attempted to understand how a smaller, seemingly inexperienced species had outmaneuvered them repeatedly. The answer was always the same. Humans did not rely solely on firepower. They relied on thought, creativity, and the willingness to act decisively when others hesitated. Kale, observing the stars from the Intrepid, reflected on humanity's journey. From early Earth to interstellar travel, humans had always faced challenges. That seemed impossible. Yet, time and time again, they adapted, learned, and overcame. That spirit had carried them across the galaxy and would continue to do so. He allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity had won not just a battle, but recognition, respect, and a place in the galaxy's consciousness. The Ziraxi and every other species would never forget this lesson. Lyra stood beside him, quietly proud. "We've done more than defend our space," she said. "We've shown the galaxy who we are." Kale nodded. "Yes, and we will continue to do so. This is only the beginning. Humanity will meet every challenge with courage, intelligence, and unity. We will be ready for anything, and the galaxy will know it." The stars stretched endlessly before them, vast and full of possibility. Human ships glided through the void, steady and disciplined. They had proven that even newcomers could stand strong against powerful adversaries. They had proven that courage, ingenuity, and teamwork could overcome even the greatest threats. As the fleet moved forward, Kale considered the future. The Ziraxi would recover, and other threats would arise. But humans would be ready. Every mission, every battle, and every decision would demonstrate that they were a species unlike any other. They would be clever, brave, and unyielding. They would not negotiate under threat. They would act, and they would prevail. And across the galaxy, every being who had witnessed their rise understood this truth. Humanity was extraordinary. The finest battlefleet in the galaxy continued its journey, a symbol of determination, intelligence, and courage. Humans had shown the universe that they were not merely survivors. They were innovators, strategists, and leaders. They had faced one of the most formidable forces in the galaxy and emerged victorious. Kale looked out at the stars, One last time before the fleet slipped into hyperspace. "This is what makes humans," he said softly. "We adapt, we endure, we prevail, and we never give up." Lyra smiled, understanding completely. "And the galaxy will remember that." With that, the human fleet moved onward, leaving behind a message for all who would watch and listen. Underestimate humanity at your peril. Courage, ingenuity, and unity could overcome any challenge. Humanity had triumphed. Not through sheer numbers, not through reckless force, but through the spirit that had always defined them. The unwavering will to survive, to adapt, and to prevail, and the galaxy would never forget it. In the far reaches of the galaxy, there was a space no one dared to enter. It was called human space, a vast region surrounded by a mysterious border that every other species respected. For centuries, no ship had crossed into this forbidden zone. The reason was simple: fear. No one knew exactly why everyone avoided it. Some said the humans were dangerous. Others believed the humans had technology so advanced it could destroy entire fleets without effort. Over time, the stories grew into legends, and the rule became clear: no species enters human space. Commander Rahl stood on the bridge of the starship Vigilant, staring at the empty stars on the screen before him. His ship was part of the Zorathi fleet, a proud group of explorers and defenders. They were stationed at the edge of known space, right beside human space. Rahl was a man of reason and curiosity, but even he felt the weight of the silence that came from the empty zone ahead. Why is it that no one ever tries to cross? He wondered silently. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alert. "Commander," said Lieutenant Miri, the communications officer, her voice calm but serious. "We've lost contact with the Scorpion." The Scorpion was a small pirate ship that had been daring enough, or foolish enough, to enter human space earlier that day. It had sent a brief message just before disappearing. Entering human territory. No signs of response? Something strange? Then nothing. Rahl's brow furrowed. "Strange how?" Miri shook her head. "We don't know. The signal cut out too quickly. No distress calls, no reply from human space. It's as if the ship vanished." Rahl's mind raced. Pirates were common in the galaxy, and usually they either ran away or fought when caught. But the Scorpion was silent, gone without a trace. This was new. He called the bridge crew to full alert. "Prepare to send a reconnaissance team," he ordered. "We need answers." The crew worked quickly, launching small scout drones toward the area where the Scorpion was last seen. The drones disappeared into the void, but none returned. Minutes felt like hours as Rahl and his officers waited. Then the communication panel flickered with static, and a short message played through the speakers. The message was faint, but clear. "They're watching. Go back." The room fell silent. No one spoke for a moment. Rahl's heart pounded. Who were they? And what did watching mean? Lieutenant Miri broke the silence. "Commander, should we send more ships?" Rahl shook his head slowly. "Not yet. We must understand what we face first. For now, inform the Zorathi High Command. This is beyond our normal patrol." The news spread quickly through the fleet. Some officers whispered about ancient stories of human power, while others dismissed the warnings as superstition. But everyone agreed on one thing: no one wanted to test the truth of the threat. That night, Rahl sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars outside his window. The blackness of human space seemed to pulse with unseen eyes. He thought about the stories he heard as a child. Tales of humans who could control machines with their minds, who built weapons so powerful no one dared use them. Some said humans had left the galaxy long ago, but their machines remained, guarding their territory. Rahl did not believe in ghosts or legends, but the message was clear. Something was there, and it was watching. The next morning, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from many species gathered in the Grand Hall to discuss the threat. Ambassador Velia of the Arthari stood to speak. "We cannot ignore the warnings," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "Human space is not just a boundary. It is a warning. If we cross it, we risk awakening something beyond our control. Another representative, General Kor of the Dravari, frowned. The humans have been gone for centuries. Surely this is just fear. We should send a fleet to prove it. Phalia shook her head. We do not know what remains in human space. The silence is not empty. It is filled with a power we do not understand. The council was divided. Some called for caution, others for action. But the rule stood firm. No ships would enter human space, not yet. Back on the Vigilant, Rahl prepared his crew for what might come next. He ordered more drones and sensors to be sent into the border area, hoping to learn more about what waited in the darkness. Days passed without news, until one of the drones returned, damaged and silent. The video feed showed a cold, empty star field, but suddenly the stars seemed to blink out one by one like lights being turned off. The crew watched in stunned silence. What just happened? Asked Engineer Lyra, her voice trembling. Rahl swallowed hard. I don't know, but it wasn't natural. The message from the missing Scorpion echoed in his mind again. They're watching. Go back. Was it the humans? Or something humans had left behind? The question haunted Rahl as he looked once more into the dark unknown, a silence so deep that even the stars themselves seemed afraid.